Thank you very much, Simone. I wish to inform you that Simone Filippucci is one more important journalist in Italy. He lives right from London, but he works in Il Sole 24 Ore, very important, the most important economic newspaper in Italy. So thank you very much and good morning, buongiorno. Thank you very much and welcome to this conference. I speak as Italian content point and with Andrea Dorazza Pilucci, we organized this conference in the framework of ESPON program transnational outreach activity. Stella, Eduarda, and other colleagues, Peter Shaw, know well this activity. And this is in the framework of 2019-2020 activity to disseminate not only the ESPON-based evidence, but all the question and solve by policy the scores, the question that impact on us in this period. This activity is coordinated by Luc Bols, the ESPON Belgium contact point. I thank you, Luc, and all contact point colleagues for this occasion. I know a lot of people, 3,000 people are connecting at the moment, and it's the most the interest, the strong interest that this topic, tourism and cultural heritage for development, produce in the European system. Because we know that we are seeking a balance between different territorial needs, and where the cultural heritage is a more massively concentrate, we had a resilient reaction in front of this terrible situation coming from the COVID-19. But today we speak not only of the impact that COVID could have on the tourism as an instrument of the valorization and the protection of cultural heritage, but also as the best instrument to realize a new, no massive concentration of flows, as Simone reminded, but to prove, to present a new type of sustainable activity that open a new market, mainly in the southern area, where this territorial capital by cultural heritage is more large. And of course, we are looking at the new future generation of European Union in the framework of a Green Deal. And I hope we speak about new jobs, new investment, new entrepreneurship, new growth, and about new recovery funds and their use in this sector. That it's very important for the 27 member states in ESPON, but also for the 4 additional partners, Iceland, Liechtenstein, Norway, Switzerland. They are participating in this conference by their stakeholder or their academic expert, highlighting the relevance of this topic that present as a duo, because they are close linked, and we demonstrate it when during the preparation of a conference we made a first assessment applying several procedures to catch information, data, processes ongoing, and document scientific but or grade from literature by policy literature, analyzing using several methods, for example, frequency analysis that Academy apply to develop vision, scenarios, spatial plans, strategies ongoing for this sector. And from this point of view, the outreach that we can have from this conference can not only to represent the previous evidence of the state of art in the ESPON evidence and area, but also to push how this duo can work to realize a new future. After me, Gintis Hermansson by the ESPON European Group of Territorial Cooperation will speak about a working paper he wrote about measuring economic impact of cultural heritage at territorial level, introducing the scope, the main scope of the orientation in supporting of policy decision making. For this conference was anticipated at the national level by two workshops, and I wish to thank a lot to Paola David from the Ministry of Cultural Heritage, Italian Ministry of Cultural Heritage and Tourism, and Lucio Scandizzo by the Ministry of Economy and Finance helped me to better discover the role of cultural heritage and tourism as an instrument in the urban, rural, coastal recovery using special funds coming from the cohesion policy, because this duo is very, very cohesive for the maintaining of a connection between people, also by digitalization. So during these two special plenary sessions, we will speak about all this topic, from tourism as driver and economic development, in front of facing the present challenges. And thank you, Eduarda and Peter Schoen, for your participation. And we speak about the resilience of our countries and the regions facing cultural and natural heritage, looking at sustainable tourism and Selakivelu, but also Ben Schoen, Stella comes from Greece, Ben comes from Vienna, Austria, and the most thing, there is no a boundary that separe our feeling about cultural heritage and tourism. In the afternoon, we enter the production of a job market of investment, in the production and the growth of a new creative and cultural sector in sustainable development framework, but also the use of financial availability and governance issue. And thank you very much to Alessandro Inna, Lucio Scandizzo, Giancarlo Sapa, and especially thank you to Massimo Sabatini from the Territorial Agency of Cohesion, because by the cohesion funds we can enter not only in the observation system that is better represented by ESPON, but also in the action that move or inspire the policymaker action. Finally, we will have the Mrs. Lorenza Bonacorsi, Undersecretary of the Italian Ministry of Culture, Heritage and Tourism, and she will answer to our policy question that you have in the working paper that received after the registration. And this long list of policy questions will be developed also by our speakers, but are finalized to answer to question of how the geographical territorial diversity in cultural heritage and tourism activity can create more cooperation in this pandemic moment timing, and to go over the cross-border limits to enter in the new arena of policy coordination of our measure. You know well that during the next Christmas holidays we could have a problem, a serious problem, and Italy is asking better, a larger coordination between countries. But how the spatial planning and the management can to create a more easy relation with the complexity in the framework of smart specialization strategy and use of technology in the cultural heritage fields. So thank you very much. Grazie ancora to everybody for your participation.
Good morning. My name is Zintis Hermanssons. I am a project expert at the ESPON EGTC, and on behalf of the whole team, I would like to welcome you to the conference. And as already emphasized in the pre-event brief, culture, heritage, and tourism are familiar topics to ESPON, and also today you're going to hear a couple of presentations from the ongoing ESPON projects, like project on the tourism. And a lot has been already said, of course, but however, the COVID-19 pandemic has, I think, really given a new context. And I suppose the question here is, can cultural heritage still be a driver for regional development, given the fact that tourism industry is and will be suffering in the years to come? So, Clara, the slides?
Yes, I will do it myself.
Okay, no problem. Yeah, I'll just continue. So my answer is definitely yes, because the evidence demonstrates that cultural heritage generates economic impact, which goes far beyond the tourism industry, obviously. And I think that is also the aim of this conference, to look from a broader perspective, and especially during the second plenary session in the afternoon. And also, I think the link between tourism and cultural heritage may also transform as many people travel for genuine reason to see cultural heritage, whereby the tourism is a way how to actually gain mental strength and relief, not just a simple leisure. So let me talk briefly about evidence we have gathered through the current ESPON work. And as it was mentioned already by Maria, we have prepared a working paper as well back in May this year, where we kind of gathered and synthesized the results of the ESPON Heritage project. Yeah, so I see the slides are also coming up.
Sorry, I tried to share your, can you see it?
Yes, if you could make it full screen, that would be perfect.
Okay. Well. Send me.
Okay, perfect. Yes, so So we have basically two projects. One has been already finalized last year, and it was about the material cultural heritage and the impact of material cultural heritage. And this also was later transformed in the working paper. I'm going to talk about it briefly afterwards. And also we have an applied research project which concentrates on the cultural heritage as a source for the societal well-being. So this is a bit broader project and maybe also a bit out of the scope of this conference. So here I won't really touch upon this project that much. The interest is about the ESPON Heritage project. The next slide, Maria, if you can. Yeah, so actually the starting point for us was really to understand what we could actually do in methodological terms. And when it comes to economic valuation, there are really big two strands of approaches. One is through non-market valuation methods, where really, you need to do different kind of research where you cannot just go in, look at the market situation and make some predictions. So what we did, we actually looked at the market evaluation methods, and we looked specifically on income, on employment, and economic growth. And so this is where the ESPON Heritage Project is kind of located when you look at the bigger picture in terms of methodology. The next slide, Maria. And here you can see really the synopsis of the project. So what we did, we selected sectors, economic sectors, which are related to cultural heritage. And obviously you can see that also the tourism sector is there, and there's a clear link with the tourism. And here, really the problem is that not all of these sectors are directly or fully related to cultural heritage. So really the trick is to isolate, the impact cultural heritage really has on these sectors. In some cases, is to do it is easier. In some cases, not. And what we did, we used, let's say, proxies to estimate the share of the cultural heritage has in terms of the impact. And one of the most, let's say, used proxies was the pre-1919 dwellings, the share of pre-1919 dwellings in total dwellings. So this was one of the proxies we chose. And here you can really see also the thing I talked about, that cultural heritage really goes beyond tourism and intersects with many other sectors. And the next slide, please. And here, it was no surprise for us during the project when we looked at 11 countries we studied in the ESPON Heritage Project, that when you look at the total impact, cultural heritage generates in terms of, when you look at the economic impact, and you look at the gross value added and turnover and employment, the main three indicators we used, you see that tourism is contributing the most. And this is really, let's say, not a surprise, but I think it really again states the obvious fact that tourism and cultural heritage are inherently linked. And the next sector was a construction sector. If you look at the size of the impact, and other sectors were less important. So this was one of the most kind of obvious and interesting findings from the project. I won't go in details regarding the other findings, but I think I just want to highlight here the link with the tourism. Next slide, Maria. We also produced a working paper where we synthesized the results of the ESPON Heritage Project, and we did some other additional analysis, which was not done at the Heritage Project, because the Heritage Project concentrated on just 11 countries, and here we introduced some interesting, let's say, approaches to gain some insights at the pan-European level. And the next slide, Maria. And here, one of the aims was to understand, how much cultural heritage we have in Europe. And this might seem a trivial question, but it's very hard to answer this kind of question because of the way how statistics is organized at different levels, and there is no really one way how to really capture the the volume of cultural heritage. I think it's really important because by doing this, we can really see the hotspots in terms of the territorial distribution and where the things are actually happening and where we need to pay more attention. And as there are no really good statistical kind of metric to capture this, we used pre-1919 dwellings from the census data as a proxy to estimate this to estimate the size of cultural heritage. And here the higher portion of dwellings is concentrated mostly in France, Germany, United Kingdom, and Italy. I mean, by no means this is 100% accurate picture. I mean, if you would use other sources like big data sources or introduce some other metrics, like actually the use of the cultural heritage, you might get a different picture. But I think it was interesting finding, interesting map, and it really gives some starting point. In territorial terms, what we're talking about. The next slide, Maria. And another innovative kind of approach was to really look at employment, cultural employment at the pan-European level, and this is also very difficult to measure. At national level, we have, I think, very good kind of overview because of the recent work of the Eurostat and European Commission, which has linked, basically have done a massive work linking the NACE codes and cultural heritage and cultural activities. And but if it comes to territorial level and territorial analysis, again, there is very little data. And here, what we try to do, we try to really match NACE codes and see where we can get some picture at territorial level. And we used the Eurostat's structural business statistics. And again, an interesting map emerges where you can see that cultural employment is significant in Central and Northern Europe and also regions Northern Italy, and least significant in places like Romania and Bulgaria. And it really also goes hand in hand with the map I showed before. And yeah, I mean, here also in terms of the theme of the conference, you can really see which territories are impacted when it comes to economic impact and cultural heritage, and where we can have a closer look to examine more. So this was it for me with setting the scene for the conference. I wish you and all the speakers a successful conference, and I hand over to you, Simona. Thank you.